Welcome to Husker. I hardly know her. I'm Avryn,
And I'm Gabby.
and this is our podcast.
Episode 1.
Episode 1. This is crazy. Getting it started. I guess we should intro ourselves a little bit. So we both go to the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. We're both college students. So we're Huskers, hence the name.
Go Big Red.
But yeah, for real. Go Big Red. Shout out
Huskers.
Shout out Huskers.
Go Big Red.
Shout out Herbie.
And Little Red. Let's be
yes,
kind to both.
Little Red too. To intro ourselves a little bit though, I am a third-year advertising and public relations major. What are you?
I am a 4th-year music education student.
Super cool. So we have majors here at this university that we attend.
Step 1.
And we're both from out of town. Crazy. We're both from Iowa. I know, don't tell anyone.
You form your own opinions on that one.
Yep.
Depending on where you're from.
From Iowa, but we're here now at Nebraska. Gabby, what brought you to UNL?
At the time, there was... Oh, and I was looking at colleges all around. Because, that was step 1 is college searches. I think I had, originally checked which schools had good music ed programs because I knew I was going to come in with that. But at the time, the university had a professor in my specific area of study that was insanely good. And I was like, I really want to study with him, with them, or whoever it was. And also UNL had given me, honestly, the best scholarships, too, considering I was out of state.
The scholarships were a big pulling point for me as well. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. So I kind of was like, it was kind of a no-brainer. But I auditioned, and I was like, we'll see what happens. And once I got in, I was like, okay, I'm going. There was a few pulls from a few other schools and some tempting offers from a few, but I was like, this, I think, is going to be the best fit for me. And it has been so far. So,
yes.
Yeah, what brought you here?
Well, so we went to the same high school, and you graduated a year ahead of me. And so I honestly had no idea what I wanted to do coming out of high school. Like, literally no clue. And I had visited some, in-state schools, and nothing was really pulling me very much because I also didn't know what I wanted to major in. So then I came to visit you one time on a game day because you were in the drum line.
Go Huskers.
Go Huskers.
Go Nebraska drum line.
For real. Shout out. And being on campus felt, really electric. And I just, loved the vibe. And I'd never been a Huskers fan before. But being on campus, you, can't help but be a Husker fan. It's contagious. It's amazing.
You kind of have to be.
You really have to be. And it's, I don't know. I just really felt like home here, even for that short little visit. So then I came back for, campus visit. And I got to stay with you, which was pretty fun. So I kind of got to get a little taste of what it would be like to stay here, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I could just really picture myself here, and it felt like home. So yeah, that's my main pull. And they also had a really good program for undecided majors. And so since I didn't know what I was coming into, I was like, yeah, I will come in as undecided. And I'm honestly really glad I did that instead of jumping into something that I wasn't sure about, because I feel like I didn't waste any time. I got some gen ed classes out of the way. I got to try out a couple classes just to kind of see what I liked. I don't know. I feel like that really just set me up for success because I didn't jump into anything and I was able to actually figure out what I enjoyed. Yeah. I don't know.
Not everybody is as smart as you.
So true. I'm super smart.
But some people just don't know that.
Yeah. No, there's literally so much pressure when you come out of high school to have everything figured out, and that's so not true. You have so much time. Some programs are a little bit more picky than others where it's you have to get into an internship or something right away, but the whole point of college is to transition you.
Yep.
And I feel like so many high schools put so much pressure on the fact that it's not a transition, you're just jumping into life right when you graduate high school, when that's not necessarily the case. So
I mean, they were pressuring us in deciding college things back in, like, being a freshman.
mm-hmm.
We had to take, I remember, like, having to take a course that was, like, describe all your interests. Like, what are your career goals? It was like, and here are the best colleges for you. And I was like,
I'm 14. I don't know.
I'm just trying to pass my, whatever math class I was there. You know,
Yeah.
it's just like, I don't know
Mm-hmm.
yet.
Yeah.
I don't think I decided until COVID hit.
Yeah, I didn't decide on what
Well-
college I was going to until like April of my senior year.
Yeah.
Like it was pretty late, like on the track, but
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, I don't know. And Nebraska is a Big Ten school too, and so it's got kind of a high acceptance rate, which is like not a big deal. But so obviously things are different for like other colleges, but
yeah.
I don't know. This school is pretty great. I feel like I made the right decision coming in here, and I guess the way that I found out my major was I was in a math class, and then this like girl who I became friends with, she had decided on being an ad PR major too. And I was initially thinking about like something marketing, and she was like, you should do ad PR because it's like marketing without the business. And I was like, perfect, no business.
No business.
Won't catch me doing business. If you're good at business, awesome. I'm not good at business. But I'm glad I know that, so I didn't jump into business.
Smart.
But yeah, it was more on like the creative side, and I knew that was something I was really good at and enjoyed. So I just kind of went for it, talked to an advisor, and then I took some intro classes, and here we are today. I'm loving it.
I'd say, I'm like, do you like it? And the answer is yes.
Yes.
You're still in it.
I am still in it, and I feel really proud of the work that I'm doing.
Good.
And I feel like that's a good reassuring thing that if you like, I mean, there are obviously some assignments that are like, whatever, you're just trying to make it through a certain class. But overall, like the things that I'm working on, I enjoy it and I'm proud of it. And so that's how I know that I'm kind of on the right path. Yeah.
Man, where to begin? 2020, the beautiful year of COVID, spent a little too much time in the mind, one could say.
One could say that.
I always kind of knew growing up I wanted to be a teacher. Mm-hmm. Like, that was never really a question. I've always loved working with kids. I have a passion for helping others. Like, everything lined up to be a teacher. But for the longest time, I thought I was going to be a chemistry teacher. Mostly just because I loved high school chemistry. And I was obsessed with, like, the way it worked. I was really just trying to be Walter White. And eventually, you know.
Yeah, of course.
No, I'm kidding. That was a joke. I'm not gonna do that. I just loved chemistry.
Why not?
It'd make me more money than I will make in my career.
That is staying in.
Yes. And that's okay. That's my humor. Obviously, I was in band growing up. I was in a lot of musical activities, and so you get the vast range of, like, which directors are doing the right things for you, which directors are maybe not doing the right things for you, and maybe making certain things I don't want to use the word miserable, but definitely a challenging experience. And I think there was a lot of discouragement sometimes from one that was really almost like offsetting me. And I remember sitting in my room and I was just like, I don't feel I should feel this way from a teacher. Like, I want to be supported like blank teacher, you know, like this, and that. And I eventually kind of, it started out as spite in a sense of like, I'm going to do what I think is right and what I think other kids should experience. Kind of like, I'm gonna be the example. So that's kind of why I chose music ed, because I was like, I'm gonna be the band director that I almost wish I had, in a sense. Healing the inner child, I guess.
That's a big motivation factor, though.
Yeah, I was like, as much as I'd love to say a lot of it was positive, it was not. But that was going into it.
Right.
So then I came here, and the music ed program here is really great. And they're doing a lot of good things, especially like I talked to a few of my other friends who are doing those kind of same things at other schools, and we have a really good program here, which is nice. But through that, and also teaching some like surrounding drumlines in the area, like it started to just like motivate me in the way of like, oh my gosh, I love doing this. I love teaching kids. Teaching kids music is even better because it's something I'm passionate about. And like everything just started kind of to settle in. And by like my first or second year teaching outside of like university sanctioned teaching, like actually it was probably my second year when I was teaching it, the both. And like everything kind of just like locked in. Everything locked in.
Locked in.
And I kind of realized that like I'm doing the right thing. The kids are getting so much out of this. I'm a good teacher. And the first time that like I could admit that to myself was like the first time I knew I was in the right track. Because like I could have people telling me I was a good teacher, and it was like it was some good like positive outside reinforcement, but like the minute I could say it to myself was a moment of like, oh, okay, we're on track, we're good. So that's been good.
And like throughout your time here, like you've been in like practicums and stuff, so you're getting like hands-on experience. And it's been so fun to watch you because you just become more sure of what you're doing like every single day.
It's teaching and learning to teach is a process, and it's a lot of hands-on experience. There's not so much you can do learning about teaching if you are just sitting in lecture halls. And so like getting the hands-on experience is really good, and I'm glad that this university does that, because I know it is not the same for some other universities. And like they don't get to go teach some kids until they're seniors doing student teaching. And I know so many people where it's like that deterred them from doing the major. Like they're like, I don't like teaching, and I didn't know that, and I just spent 4 years doing it. I'm like, sorry.
For real. I feel like hands-on experience is like something that our university in particular does really well.
Well, even with you guys.
Yeah, even with like the College of Journalism, like they have so many hands-on experience opportunities. Like we have student ad agencies, and we like partner with nonprofits and stuff around town, and you get to go around and do a lot of projects. So the project aspect has definitely been something I've enjoyed a lot, just because I personally learn better without having to memorize things for a test. I would rather do a project any day. But yeah, that's helped me a lot, and I've been able to like build a portfolio, which is cool. Yeah, and I haven't gotten an internship yet, but I do feel confident that like if I apply for one for the summers, like I would have enough material to have a good shot. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm being prepared really well as well. And yeah, this is an important question. What do people usually say when you tell them that you're a music education major?
Oh.
How do they react?
It depends on the crowd. It also depends. The follow-up question is always what grade level, and that's my favorite question too.
Yeah.
Most of the time on first basis, if you're like, oh, I'm in music ed, they're like, oh, so you want to be a, band teacher or something, and either they tell a story about their band director, or they're like, oh, you're not going to make any money if you're a teacher. And I'm like, okay. Awesome. I love what I'm doing. Is that a problem for you? Yeah, I'm not going to make that much money. I'd rather like going to my job.
Exactly.
Or there's just a few people, very few, but there's a few people who still kind of believe that's not a real profession. But
it definitely is.
Definitely is.
It is real.
Education matters, and so does music education.
So true.
But that's always a fun battle. And then there's the few that are just like, yes, oh my God. And I'm like, thank you. But my favorite is the follow-up question when they're like, oh, what like grade level do you want to teach? And if you say high school, people are like, oh yeah, nice. Like there's usually not much like rebuttal to that one.
Yeah.
If you say like general music or K through 5 something, they're like, oh, bless your heart, like those are so hard to, oh my gosh, bless the littles, something that, it's like always something like that, because I mean they're a handful, but they're adorable, but they're a handful. And so like people are like, oh, bless you. And then if you say middle school, people are like, what kind of monster are you? They're like, you want to teach middle school? And then those of us who want to teach middle school are like, yeah.
You monster.
And it's, oh my God, they're just so, And I'm just like, all of these K through 12, they're all kids, dude. I'm like, you're going to have challenges at every single grade level. It doesn't matter. I always defend the middle school one. But that's because I love middle schoolers.
That's your goal, right?
As of right now, yes. I'm comfortable teaching at any grade level, and I honestly have pros to each one. I love there's certain aspects of each one that I love so much, but right now the one I love the most is middle school, and it's just because it is such a developmental age, and like they're trying to figure themselves out, which is just kind of adorable half the time, because like they're still young enough to the point where they want to do fun activities and they want to be a little goofy and they want to mess around. Like they still got the youngness side of them, but they're not like entirely socially aware yet. So they're not trying to be cool 24/7. Like there's still a little bit of like weird wacky in middle school, which I love. Yeah. And then like, but they're also old enough to know like this is right and this is wrong, and I'm gonna enforce that. It's not like kindergartners, you're like, this is wrong. And they're like, what do you mean? I didn't know that. I'm 5. And you're like, it's okay. But, like, these are anywhere from 10 to 13-year-olds. And they're like, okay, well, I've been doing this. I know what's wrong. I know what's right, which is nice. And a little more manageable.
Yeah. Well, like, middle school is such a, like, malleable stage of life, too. And that's when, especially in music education or in, like, instrumental music.
That's where it all starts.
That's where they're starting out. And if the teacher is not passionate and doesn't speak the language of the students in order to help them become passionate, they're going to quit.
I mean, that's how half our friends quit band in the first place.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't have a good experience, and they're like, peace out.
Exactly. If it doesn't start off exciting, then how are they going to continue? So you're so passionate that you can just, like,
keep going,
put that onto the students, and you can encourage them, and... No, that's perfect.
Yeah, that's the hope as of right now.
Mm-hmm. And it could change.
It could change. And it's okay to change. Speaking of futures, first, how do people react when you tell them that you're an ad PR? Actually, the first thing would be, I'm ad PR. And they're like, what the heck does that stand for?
And then I have to say it out loud. And then I jumble my words because I can't speak. Advertising and public relations. And public relations.
I'm an advertising and public relations major.
And when you say that you're, like, public relations major, like, communications, people are like, oh, that's the major people decide when you don't have your life figured out. That has been a quote to me several times. That, oh, my gosh. I remember, like, a specific person being like, oh, so you don't know what you want to do ever. And I'm like, yeah, correct.
And what about it?
And what about it?
And what's the problem with that?
And guess what? I picked a major, and now I do know a direction that I want to go. And I'm sticking with it, okay? So it's real. Majoring in ad PR is real. And I'm learning a lot. And it's actually really fun. I like to tell people that I'm majoring in Canva, though, because I just, like, am on Canva all the time.
You major in Canva and Microsoft Office? No.
Microsoft Office, but also Adobe Creative Cloud.
Adobe Creative Cloud. That's what it was.
The Adobe Creative Cloud.
I was like, I know you said this one time. I'm majoring in Canva and Adobe Creative Cloud.
Yeah. That's more for, like, the design stuff, but I also really love writing. And I had kind of forgotten that I loved writing, but because I loved writing, like, all growing up in elementary school. Always was a writer.
She was a big writer.
Wrote a lot of little stories in certain journals of mine. We don't have to unpack that right now. But, yeah, it was a class I took last year called, guess what? Strategic writing.
Oh, yeah.
And that is what truly, like, reminded me how much I loved writing because, first of all, my professor was amazing. Shout out Dr. Kirkpatrick. I love you and I miss you. Just had to name drop that one because it's so important to me. But, yeah, it just really, like, the class was well organized. I learned how to write so many different things that pertain to, like, public relations and, like, the practicality of that. And I felt like I could use my skills, and I was always proud of every single project that I did in that class.
I was just about to say, I remember, like, the process of writing was never your favorite, or, like, due dates are nobody likes due dates.
No. And I'm a big procrastinator, so, like, the assignment portion of the class was just, like, I was like, oh, I have to do this. But
afterwards, you'd be like, "Do you want to read this paper? It was so good. I think it was so good." And it's always like, "Wait, you should read this. Oh my god, it was really good." I was just like, "Oh my god."
It's so funny because our majors are so different, and so, like, because you perform sometimes, and that's how I see your progress is when I see you perform and when I see you come back from teaching kids and you get excited, and then I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you. You're growing." But I'm like, please read this blog post that I wrote for a fictional company.
Look at my paper. Look at this new advertisement I made. And I'm like, yay!
Oh my god, look at my
Love
grammar.
the color scheme.
Look at my grammar. It's so good.
There's not a single red line under any of these words.
I followed AP Style so well. You don't even know what AP Style is.
Look at this annotated bibliography. It's so
So good. But yeah. But typically when people say, or when people hear me say that I'm majoring in ad PR, they're like, oh, awesome. That's so general. But like, that's good because now I have so many possibilities of things I could do.
So many things.
Like I could be like freelance and get gigs a lot. Then I wouldn't have insurance, which would suck. I don't know how insurance works yet. That's a problem for tomorrow. I don't know.
Or tomorrow's tomorrow.
I was about to quote Jojo Siwa, and I will not.
Nope.
Not gonna do that today.
And what's nice too is like you can have a job and still do all the freelance stuff on the side.
True.
Which is also really nice.
Yes.
Some extra cash never hurt nobody.
Exactly. I could end up behind a desk sitting at an agency.
True.
In the future, or I could end up traveling.
True.
Doing a bunch of that stuff. I could end up as a social media manager for a company, which is a valid job.
True. Unfortunately, social media is a large part of our lives.
True.
I say unfortunately because
do you know how much time I've spent on Instagram in the past 3 days? Just because I have like 6 accounts that I'm running?
I used to crap on Instagram Reels, and now I hate to admit it.
Kind of getting into the Reels.
I'm kind of getting into the Reels.
Yeah.
It's a problem.
I need to get into Reels more because I just feel like it's more accessible than like TikTok.
I've realized, okay, so I still use TikTok and my Reels.
Yeah.
But TikTok is for like my like funny crap posting video. Or it's just like I scroll through and I get the funniest things I've ever seen in my life.
Yep.
And it's just so entertaining. That's for my entertainment. Whereas my Reels right now are like either food cooking videos, home decorating, or crochet tips and projects. And so that's like my educational side of video watching.
Yes.
So I just go through the two. Mm-hmm. It depends on my mood. If I'm feeling productive, productive but unproductive, then I go on like my real side of things.
You're justifying it as productivity. Scrolling reels. Being so productive right now.
I am very productive because I'm on Reels and not TikTok.
Exactly. Sorry, TikTok.
Talking about all these jobs you could have. Mm-hmm. Do you know what you want to do?
Not officially.
That's a problem.
Call me a failure.
She's not gonna have a future. Failure. I'm kidding.
Wrong. You myth busted.
Oh, I meant that.
Is that not what you said?
I said Mythbuster.
Oh, well,
as in the show. Love that show.
We can pretend.
Show drop.
Mythbusters. It's not on anymore. Sorry, R.I.P. Moment of silence for Mythbusters.
Oh yeah, that's wrong though.
Mm-hmm. You don't have to know what you're gonna do, because you can figure it out through experiencing things. And as long as you're practicing, as long as you're on the lookout, and as long as you're enjoying what you're doing, you don't have to have everything figured out right now. And that's like the biggest thing I try to plug to people coming into college and even going through it. I'm like, do not stress so much about what's coming after, because it is stressful to be an adult. There's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of things you have to do, but you don't have to have it all figured out right away.
Figure it out as you go.
Exactly.
No shame in that.
Mm-mm.
Speaking of no shame in that, there is so much like weird stigma around like taking a year off in between like high school or college, or taking a year off after college before you start doing anything else. There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
Take some time for yourself. Be away from school for a minute.
Yeah.
Work a job.
There's so much pressure to do kind of like follow the flow, what everybody else is doing, where it's like high school, graduate high school, college for 4 years, graduate, job. That's not how it works most of the time. A lot of people take a year off, or some people graduate early. Some people take 5-6 years of college. Some people get their master's degrees. It's literally no pressure. Like, everybody's on their own path, and I feel like once you get to college, everyone's
on their own path.
Yeah, you start to realize that, and where you're like, wait, actually, none of these people really care about what I'm doing, and I should be the only person that cares about that. And so once you start to just focus on yourself and what's best for yourself, it gets so much easier to, like, pay attention to what you need and actually go on the path that you need to be on. Yeah, we've had a couple people that we know, like, have to, like, drop out or have to, like, take years off after because they jumped into something that they weren't ready for. And there is no shame in taking a year off, or if school's not for you, it's not for you. Like, there's no shame in that. But it is tough to see somebody jump into something because they feel like they have to, and then have to stop that early because it wasn't the right thing for them.
I've seen so many instances of that. I have seen so many instances of that. Well, even in music ed, the amount of people that think, because there's a lot of people who just like playing their instrument, and they're like, okay, I'll go teach it. And then they realize, oh my God, I hate teaching.
Yeah.
Also, this is too much work. And then they're like, deuces. Like, the numbers that we start with my freshman year to the numbers that we end with, not the same.
Not the same.
And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, I've never, like, most of the time if someone drops out, I'm like, well, that's valid. Or like, for that program, I'm like, oh, I understand why they're doing that. There's been a few where I'm like, you would be such a good teacher. That's such a shame. But, like, I don't hate them for it. I just know that they have other passions. Although there's, like, we were talking about how, you know, like, there's no shame in coming in undecided or anything. There's also technically, like, no shame coming in with a major you think you want to do and changing that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't, like, find out what you want to do. Don't be afraid to change.
Yeah.
And, like, sometimes it does require more years of schooling. Like, I know some people, some of our friends who, like, came in with either undecided or some random, like, business major or something. And then they're like, wait, I kind of really miss doing, like, music things. And then, like, they've swapped to music ed and they love it now.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's okay to think you want to do something and have to change that. Will it sometimes require more time? Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're going to love yourself more in the end for it.
Exactly. Yeah. Moral of the story.
Do what you want to do, boo.
Yeah. Take your own time. Find your own interests. Don't let other people pressure you into doing something you're not ready for or doing something that you hate. Because ultimately, it's literally all about you. And that's the most important thing that we know.
This is true.
Well, thank you for joining us for our first episode of Husker Hardly Know Her. Don't forget to subscribe on Spotify and or YouTube.
Smash that like button, comment, and
leave your comments, leave your ratings, smash that like button,
smash that like button.
Subscribe,
and
that's follow us on Instagram. Sorry, I kept interrupting
No,
you.
it's okay. I was interrupting you. I just really enjoy the phrase "smash that like button." I just think it's so funny.
Me too. Smash it. Anyway.
Uh-oh.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Come back next Thursday for episode 2. That's right. There's going to be more than one episode. Get excited.